Alright, welcome to Bikas Web Channel. My name is Bikas and I'm here back again with another video. As you can see here, in this video we are going to do this kind of Kanban board in React TypeScript without using any third-party library. So if that sounds cool, if that's what you are looking for, smash the like button. And if you are new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed this channel already, subscribe the channel as well as press the bell notification icon. That way whenever I upload new videos you will get notification. That being said, let's start this video. Alright, here I am in VS Code and at the moment I just have this empty page and there is nothing much, and I will be using this project from our last year video. So last year we did this kind of drag and drop sort without any third-party library, and it will be continuation from the same video. However, I have done few modifications, so I have added this route, and this is not related to today's video concept, but I just wanted to have everything in the same page. So I have this, and at the moment this is already completed. We will be dealing on this today, and then there is sort D&D, and this is upcoming video where I will be doing same kind of or even a bit more complex kind of thing using third-party library. So let's go here and I'll just copy this one from here, and then I'll just go here and then paste it, and then we will need some state here. So I'll just call to-do title, and then here I will give it a value of to-do title, and handle name change we can just go here and do e.target.value, and the e comes from there. And here handle item, at the moment I'm just going to do console log just so we don't get any warning or error, and this is all. So now if we go here, we have this cool way of adding a new item. Call it add to do item, and we can also give here make a video so our user will know what they want to do. Next, let's go and let's actually create a list. So if you remember, or if you have seen my previous video, we did this drag and drop sorting. However, I had all the items as just a single item inside array. So this kind of single item, I meant it wasn't any object or anything, so no ID and nothing, and that's why I had to use index from this map just to know which item we were talking about. And some of you have commented that this is not a good practice, and that's true, and that's why in this video we will try to do it a little bit better way, almost identical to how you will be doing this if you were doing fully stack production based sorting thing. Okay, so let's go, and I'll just give it a to-dos, and then I will say set to-dos, and then it will also have this use state, and then I'll just create something like here, and then let's try to do something. So just for our to do, we can even have, let's go and give to do type. Okay, so we will have ID, and that will be string, and then we will have title, and that will be string as well, and then we will also have column, and this column will be different kind of column. Actually, if we only think about to do, then there is incomplete to do and completed to do, so we can even do is completed, and then that will be boolean. However, if you remember in the beginning I showed you that we will have opportunity to expand our columns to multiple columns, so that's why instead of just having a boolean value, I would actually want to have some sort of value. I can even call it incomplete, and then I can commit completed. So those two, and then I can have a sort index, and this will be also number. So this ID will be uniquely identifiable for each of our to-do item. Okay, so if in your case if you have a backend or if you have a server database, then maybe from database you will get this ID. However, in our case we are doing everything in front end, so we need to somehow generate unique ID. We can do using math random or so on, but in our case I will use a third-party library and that will be from UUID. So that's what we will be doing. And then this sort index is actually something which we will not use in this video. However, this is more of a concept, because in this sorting here we use the index from the array index. However, if you were to save this in your backend or in your local storage or somewhere, and then you want some way to persist this value, and you cannot use this ID because usually ID are also primary key. That means primary key should be unique and it should not change. So just the way to change it to keep the track of positioning. So if you move one item above another item, then we will switch the position of those two items and then save in the database. And when we are sorting the list, we will actually use this property to sort them, so that it will always keep the persistent state of however you have dragged those and however you have sorted those. That's why this is good. We are not going to use it, but it's just a good practice, so I wanted to tell it to you, and I wanted to have a habit of that, because I did not mention all those concepts here in my previous video. The next thing will be to define the state here. So let's go here, and I will just say it will be to-do type and array. Okay, so this is good. Next thing is actually to go and create some columns. So we want 2 columns. So let's, after this here, I will just go here, and then I will call container sort wrapper, just so that we can have everything inside this, and inside this wrapper we can have multiple columns. And then I will just go here and I will say container sort, and then I will just say column. Okay, so this will be one column, and we will have multiple column. At least in our case here we will have incompleted and completed column. So let's go here, and then I will just have h5, and then I will call it incomplete column or incomplete to-dos. And then inside here I will create another container or another div, and I will call it container sort items. So inside here we will render each item, and item is something we can actually copy from this div here. So let's just copy this, and for now we will just have that, and there is a key. That's good, this good. Okay, so inside here what I can do is I can just do to-dos, and first I will filter it. I will filter each to-do in such a way that we want, if to-do dot column is incomplete, then we want to render it in this column. Okay, and then what I can do is dot map. This will give us again to do, and then we can actually do something like this. Then I can just cut it from here and paste it, and this index, we don't need this index because we will actually get. Alright, so we are getting some problem here. So to-dos dot filter, and it will filter out, and then we have map, and then we have this. Okay, it looks good for me. Okay, but we'll fix it. So we have to do, that means we can get to do dot id here, I hope. Yes. And then okay, we'll do something out of these. We probably don't need this drag int. We will also not need this drag inter, and it is because we really don't care that, because we are not sorting each item, but we are just dragging them. So we need to know what did we drag, and this drag over prevent default is just so that if we accidentally drag it over some other item, we don't get any trigger event fired. That is not necessary. And instead of this item here, I can do to do dot title, and then yeah, so instead of this drag item, let's go here. How did we do it? So okay, so we had this drag item, so let's just go here, and somewhere here I can show dragged to do item, and then we can copy this, do something like that, and instead of index, now we can actually do id. All right, so that way we don't need to deal with that kind of indexing from the map or anything, and id is unique for that column, so we know that which to do item we are talking about. Okay, so this looks good, but we are getting issue here. To do type is not assignable to React. Okay, so why is that? We have to do's and we have to do type. That's good. This filter seems pretty okay to me. Okay, you know what, whenever I get into this kind of trouble, I just try to go from all the way basic. So we have this here, and then we have to do's, and we can do filter s, and we can also do to do, and then we can just show to do dot column, and we can also say incomplete. So that's good. Dot map, I can do another to do, and then I can do something like this, and just okay, yes. So sometime you need to rewrite things in order to get them the way you want to have it. Okay, so now what we can do is we can actually go here, handle input, I will just say handle it to do, and then let's just call this function whenever someone enters this. Okay, and now let's create a payload, and then here we will need id. Okay, and as I said, you can use mat.random and give however you want, and that is one way, but we will use UUID for getting that kind of unique ID, and for now I'll just give one. And then title is whatever the to do title, we will have it from here, from this input, it will be that. And then column, initially we will always have this column incomplete. Let's make sure we don't have typo here, and then I can actually even do it so that it is actually to do type. So okay, so id cannot be string, that's good. And then we are still missing something, and that is sort index, and sort index should be number. So what I can do is I can just say todos.length +1. For this video this is enough. However, just to tell you, so if you do this actually in your real case, then you might end up having a duplicate sort index value, because let's say when we are adding to do, we have only 2 items in to do's, for example. So the length will be 2, you add 1, 3, and then you add 4, 5, and then let's say you also have deleting options, so you delete to do item like 2 of those, and then it goes back to 3 items in array, and then again it will have this length plus 1. In that case it will add. So probably that's not the best way to do. Another would be then you can just do something like to do's, and then to do's dot length. So you can come like that plus 1, and then you can do sort index, and this might solve it, but I don't think this is also bulletproof, so you need to check it. But anyway, in this video we are not making use of this. The next thing is getting UUID here, so I'll just go and say UUID, and then we need to import this. So let's go import v4 as UUID v4 from UUID, and I have already installed this. If you don't have, you can do add or npm install, I guess, so you can do that. In my case I already had it. All right, so this is good. Next we need to push this to our set to do's, and what we can do is I can just do something like this, and I can just have everything else from here, and then I can just add to do payload. You can also create a temp to do and then push it, and then push that whole here, but this will do the job. So now if we go here, okay, so we are entering here, however something is not working. Okay, so let's go and let's see what exactly is happening here. We have to do's, that's good, but this says that a to do is not defined. Okay, why is that? Okay, so I think this is here because initially we don't have any value, so this does not exist, and that's why. And one way to solve that is just to check whether this exists, then we do that. If not, we'll just have to do's dot length, and then if we edit, you can see we have 1 item, we have 2 items, and now that warning is gone. That's good. Now what we can do is just so we have some column to play with. Let's go here, and then from here to here, let's just go and let's copy it, and then here I can call it completed to do's, and then here instead of incomplete we want completed. Okay, so now you see we have 2 columns, and at the moment it does nothing, but that's what we will fix the next. Okay, so let's go to our column here, and probably let's just do inside this container, not in the main column here. Just inside this here we can do a couple of things. First, I can just go copy paste this so we don't run into that drag over property, and the reason is if I just go here, I will just say console log dragged over, and then just do E. Now if I refresh, if I go and add something, if I do, you can see that every time I'm dragging over it, there are a lot of events fire, and we don't want this event to pollute our main activity, so that's why we want to have this prevent default. And then the next thing is there is something called on drop property. So let's go here, on drop, I'll just do E, although we will not use it, but just so you can see it. So if I copy it here and then also here, now if we go here, refresh it, I will add some item, and then if I go here, you can see that every time I drop something, we will get this on drop triggered, and we can actually even get a lot of things that what are the thing, what are the positioning, what are the items, and so on, and all this where exactly and so on. However, we will be not using the event or anything from here, but just so that you know that this is the function we will be using, or this is the trigger we will be using, that to know when something is dropped over this column. Okay, so here what I can say is console log dropped over completed, and then I can just copy this from here, and if we go here, then it says we can just write here incompleted. Well, that doesn't make sense, but just to give you idea. So if I do something here, and then if I drop it here, you can see it's dropped over completed. We don't have anything to do it here, but let's say if our incomplete is actually not that, but when we create something initially, if it goes to this one, now if I drop it here, you can see that dropped over incompleted. So wherever we drop, we know where we are dropping, and then the next thing we want to know is what we are dropping. Okay, and that is something we get it from here. If you see, for any items, whenever we start the dragging, so this is for each item, that means each of these item, whenever we start it, and it was the same logic used also in my previous video. In that case, we were dragging and dragging over the same item, so we needed this drag inter and drag int inside the item. But in this case, we are dealing with a container or column, so we need on drop in column to know where we are dropping, and then on drag start, so to know which item we are talking about. So if I go here, and then I can also say dragged item ID, and then that we can get just like this. So if you see, I have done this, and I have already made YouTube shorts. You can go and check it. What is the difference between use ref or use state, why we don't do use state in this case, and why do we need ref. I have already made at least shorts and also Insta reels, so you can watch that. So now if I save this, if I refresh it here, if I add something, well, it goes here. Okay, so we need to also, I need to actually just copy this and also paste it here. So now if I copy, if we have like more items, so one item and then second one item. So when I drag it here, you can see that dropped over incompleted, so we know where it was dropped, and then we also know the ID of this. In this case, we get this UUID. Okay, and with that information we can do anything we want. Okay, so let's just go here, and what I can say is const handle column drop, and then here I will get what is the column we are talking about, and this is the time we can actually break this. So instead of doing something like that, we can actually, you know what, actually I'll just go and do a little bit smarter way, or I don't know if this is a smarter way, but this is something I usually do. So I will actually create an object called columns, and you will see why I have it. And then I have this incomplete. You can just do null, you can do string, you can do anything. I just do true, and then I will also have completed here, and this is true. And this way we can add more items in the in this column. And then now I will just say type column, and this will be type of that column. So this way, whatever the type of this, if you go here, you can see it has this kind of types, and that's good. And then the next we want is type column type, and then I can just say key of this column. And now if I save it and if I hover over, you can see this exactly means the same thing that we have here. So now I can copy this, and then I can go here, and that's good. And now if let's say we need to add progress, so we have another column. Now if I go over here, you can see it automatically gives us this beautiful opportunity of having more items, and the same thing here. However, for now I'll just have one. But what I was trying to do, okay, here I will just go here and do column type, and then that's enough for us. So now I can just do console log, and then column we are talking about is column we are passing from there. And then, well, actually we don't need this, or let's just try it. So, and then dragged item is actually dragged item. Okay, so now let's just copy this from here, and then instead of doing all this drama here, all we can do is just this, and then I can call what is this. So one is incomplete, and you can see we get all the types, subjects and everything from here. And then I can do the same thing here, and instead of completed I can, sorry, instead of that I can do completed. Okay, this is already looking good. Next thing, I just want to copy this from here and have some sample data, because it's kind of bothering me. So it will be array of object, and then we don't have title, so I say to do item 1, and this is incomplete, and then we can just say 1 here, and let's at least make 2 here, 3 here, and this will be to do item 2 and to do item 3. All right, and now I can pass these as initial value here. I know why we are getting that problem, and that is I just need to give this a type here. Okay, so now if I refresh from here, let me just go here. Okay, we have this item. Okay, it does something. So it says it's dragged there, and that's the current item that we are dragging here. Okay, actually it should be current. So what we can do here is, let's say index of dragged item, we go to to-dos dot find index, and we do to do, where to-do dot id is same as this dragged item. Okay, we can even filter it out. We can even just do find. I don't know, somehow I like to deal with index. It's just my preference. So instead of doing this, what I can say is to-dos and then index. Now you can see that whenever I drag this here, it says undefined. Oh, interesting. And why is that? Oh, it is because it should not be like that. Okay, now you can see whenever I drag, I know I'm dragging it to like column completed, and the item is this, and we get whole object, and that is already enough information. So with that information, what I can do is first I can create temporary to do, and that to do will have everything from this to do's. So that means whatever these to do's, we already have that. I'm just thinking what we can do. So we don't need this. Okay, so what we can do is we can just do set to do's, almost the same thing that we did here, and then we can do previous. That means whatever the current to do's we have, and then I can just do, can I do something like this, previous, and then I can have to do's dot, I think this is getting a bit complicated, so let's just do a simple way. We do the copies of the current to do's, and then since they are same, so the index should be same, so I can do temp to do's dot index dot column is whatever the column passed here. So that's the column we are talking about. And now we have updated this temp to do's, so we can go and do set to do's, and then here I can just do something like this and temp to do's, because we are not changing the reference. I mean, you know, whenever we are copying this, it actually does a reference copy, but when we only change the value, it may not update, and then our state may not re-render. Actually, it will not re-render, and that's why I'm doing something like this. I can also just pass temp to do's, and but that will not re-render something. Oh, actually it did. Oh, it already does. Okay, so I was just overthinking it. So let's refresh here. Let's another to do. It already goes there, and that is because here we were having it here. So now if I refresh, let's say make a video, we are here, and then if I drag it here, it drags back. Oh, that is cool. That is pretty cool. Isn't that what we wanted? Okay, it's almost done. We are almost there, and all we needed was just to have the reference of the item that we dragged, and then we needed this on drop property, and then just this one handle function. Beside this, all this adding to do and this setting and all the CSS and container, everything, they are actually not even the part of the core concept of this video. So this is all we need actually to do that kind of cool thing. However, we are not done, so let's go here and let's try to do a bit of improvement here, or formatting, I would say. So instead of repeating this kind of same code and almost everything here, if you see, the only difference you can figure it out here is we have this title that's a little bit different from this title, and then this filtering item here we are filtering incomplete, but here we are filtering completed, and then this handle drop where we are triggering a different column. That's all. So what I can do is I can just go here and then get rid of that, and then somewhere here we can actually even split this out to a separate column container or column component, and then pass all these as props, and then also all these functions as callback props, and then we can do everything in that component. That is up to you to do it. However, what I will do here is I will just go here, and then you see that's the reason why I had these columns. You see, Earlier it was almost useless, and now you will see the value of it. So I will use this column object, and you know, in JavaScript, if you want to use the key of those, then you can change this all the keys to array. And how we can do that? We can do this something like this. So we can have object dot keys, and then you can pass the object like it says here. In our case, that is columns. Now we have an array of, at the moment, 2 items, incomplete and completed. However, the more you add there, the more items there will be inside this array. We can even save this in a separate array, but it's not necessary. And since this is array, we can do map, and then I can just say key, or we can even be a little bit, we can say it key, but I'll just give it column because that's what we are talking here. And then inside here, we will go through this whole div. I'll cut it from here and put it here, and we save it. And we already have it, except we are rendering the same thing in both places. So couple of things we need to do. First of all, instead of having this manually typed things here, what I can just say is column, okay. And then also, instead of checking it here, we can just do column, okay. And okay, we are getting some warning here. I think it's type related. And also here, incompleted, we can just take this column to column dot or let's just do something like that. We don't even need this. And then lastly, just need to fix this. So what is the complaint here? String is not assignable to type. Okay. And why it thinks this as a string, even though okay, that explains. So there are a couple of ways to solve this. One way is somewhere here I can just say const column map. I can do something like that, is object dot keys, and then I will just put columns here. And then here what I can do is so this will be array of column type. Okay, it also says the same thing, that string is not assignable. Okay, in that case there is something like this. Well, this is not always the best way to do it, but sometimes it does the job. Now what I can do here is, instead of this object.keys.column, I can do that, and you can see that warning is gone, because now our type understands that this will be one of that key. And then if we add more item here, it will also automatically take the reference from there. So if I save it here, if I refresh it, if I do it, you can see we have it, and we have incomplete, completed. And this is something you can just with capitalize from CSS, you can just do that. For example, I'm not going to do it, but just to show you what I meant, instead of doing this uppercase, I can just say to string, just in case if this is not a string. So we have that, and then all you can do here is go there, and this is something you will be doing, but I'm just showing you here. And then text transform, capitalize, and then you already have these two here, but that is up to you to do it. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the last part, and that is, let's say someone is going to tell you that, you know what, these two columns are not enough, we need something called in progress. So you can also do something like that, or just progress, and then we do the true here. And then now we have 3 columns. So you can drag it here, you can drag it back, you can drag it here, you can drag it here. And then someone came and say, you know what, we also need a column called on hold. Okay, and then that is also okay. We have this new column here. And then at the moment we have something like this. You can also do something that const column map name, or actually already here, instead of this, what we can do is we can just say incomplete. For progress we can also say in progress, and for completed we can also say completed, and on hold I will say here on hold. Or okay, now you can also do so that instead of doing this capitalize or column to string, what we can do is column and then column. Okay, so what is happening here? So this is not any, oh yeah, not column but columns. Okay, so now you can see whatever the title you give here, it goes there, and instead of on hold I say cancelled, then you can see this has cancelled. So this way you can have dynamic name here, you can have dynamic property here, you can also add another property and just another column here, and then we have more column here. Additionally, you can also attach this to the state here, and then your user can add more column there, and that is also possible. Anyway, now you saw how easy it is actually to do this kind of cool Kanban board in React TypeScript without using third-party library. I hope this video was useful for you, and if you agree, smash the like button. If you are new to this channel, or if you haven't subscribed my channel already, subscribe my channel and also press the bell notification icon. That way, whenever I upload new videos, you will get notification. I'm going to release another video using ReactDragAndDrop library, so even for that you need to subscribe my channel. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Keep coding. Bye bye.